I'm going to continue with this concern about my well-being and explain those elements. But one thing, I wanted to make this point the other day, and I was going to post a post on my thread, on my thread, because I keep leaving my stuff about the porn industry, and I talk about how that I have problems with Christian men. One of those references I put it in quotation marks. Um, which generally when I'm doing this quote unquote, this is like I'm inherently saying there's something funny about this, like this is a quote unquote, meaning in their own words or something like this. And I don't have a problem universally with Christian men at all. It's just it's just I've had within different circumstances, like my friend in Pakistan, I was helping her children's ministry. She had these men that act like they're religious fanatics on their Facebook wall, and they reported to Facebook for asking for money. It's pathetic. Okay, I mean they can deal with it. Okay, if they don't want to give her money, I mean, what are they doing? I mean, this one's pitiful. I mean, they live really hard over there. And my aunt, my dad called her a Kingdom Hall person. My dad refused to use the term Jehovah's Witness. Okay, but that's what the rest of the world knows her as, and that church, that religious organization is accused, and I'm sure it's a hell of a lot of it's credible, okay, or it's probably all credible. The big level church, all kinds of child abuse, all kinds of horrendous stuff comes out of there. They're accused of being a cult and stuff like this, whatever you want to say, okay. But I can tell you, my aunt is the real McCoy, okay. She's more than talk. You better believe it. Okay, this is someone who endures hardship. She had the right, she had an attitude of someone who really believes what they say, who puts their money where their mouth is. And there's a conspicuous element here where this woman's over there in Pakistan. She's running a children's ministry. It's a Christian children's ministry. And this is something where in that nation, in that country, you are risking your life. You're risking your well-being. Okay, it's like if you're a Christian, you believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ. You believe the holy, all this stuff, and you believe every bit. If you're going to advance that cause, I mean, what are you doing? Turning your back on somebody who's out there risking their life in a foreign country to teach children, and also, she feeds these kids, and that's why I bought her some food, and I didn't realize at first how cheap those Bibles were going to be, and I didn't tell my friend that, okay, but it doesn't matter, okay. That's like I don't I believe, again, I'm hardcore about doing right, okay. And if I were a Christian, I'm not going to be half-assing it at all. Again, I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in a God at all. I don't believe in any of these religions. There's no religion. I don't believe in the supernatural dimension. Period. Okay, it's like a worthless thing to think about for me. I just don't see it. I've got a whole way of viewing this, but I'm hardcore about doing right, even in absence of that. That I'm helping this one when I'm in financial distress already. I'm doing everything I can to help her. Okay, and but this guy right here, this is someone. I've retweeted his stuff here, and I've got a tweet that I left of him right here. See right here, and right here, this is supposed to say "the shame." Okay. This right here, to me, I don't know where these men again that are lambasting of her. They're real conspicuous. They're real familiar. They know exactly who they're lambasting. They're lambasting her for being this word that begins with a W. Okay. They're real versed in just what a prolific producer, a prolific performer she was, and how they know all this stuff. But here I'm retweeting this man. Okay, and I don't want to. This is, I don't want to. And this guy, he defends her, and I hate this. I don't like I don't. I'm probably gonna put up if you're watching this and there's a cover over this of this picture of this actress being spoken of. That's because I want to maintain her privacy all that I can. This is a very, very, very it's a very, very, very sad thing what has obviously happened to this woman. And I have this thing where I'm incredibly perceptive, and it can be something where I start to where I perceive certain realities that others don't perceive. And it's like things that people would rather be be here's reply to tweet ID 348. Let me get this right here. See what this tweet is that I'm replying to, because it's a different one than this one. But I don't want to. It's not like I'm a universal. Again, all the people that are real McCoys, I'm happy with them. Okay, well, it looks like the same one. It looks like the same thing. Okay. Yeah, you see here. Okay, right here you can see I've got neurological impairments, so I was not able to read this the entire thing the whole time, the first time. But this is why, because if you just read this part right here, it can sound like that he's lambasting her in some way. Okay, but you see here, this guy's taking shots at her. I mean, what a bastard! I mean, what a filthy bastard! Well, I mean, go to hell, buddy. I mean, get real. Okay, I mean, what a filthy human being this guy is. Right here, it's Johnny. Okay. And you'll see here, or actually go back here. You see here. Okay, this is what I tell him. Okay, there's shame. It's not on her. The shame is on Johnny. Okay, here, who's in this right here. The shame is on him. He can shut his mouth. Okay, he's a miserable human being looking for company. Okay, pissed off at her having it and go to hell. What a horrible. I mean, this is how do people? I will never be this. I couldn't be this way. Okay, I don't know. It's like under a threat of death, hellfire, you name it. I am not going to reduce myself to this kind of pathetic. I mean, what's wrong with this guy? Good God. Okay, but to continue with your concerns. So I want to give you the elements of my well-being and my distress. Okay, the first one is Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, aka broken heart syndrome. Now, I haven't had that much recently, but this is a stress-based injury to your heart. It's what this is. That will be temporary. I've got a thing up here that I've weakening the heart. Okay, it mimics a heart attack, emotional, physical stress, causing the heart's main channel. And again, this right here, it's a stress impact to the heart. I started having these as a consequence of this criminal massacre that I've been subjected to back. It was at least in 2021, and I've had these scores of times. It may be in the hundreds, but I have these one after another over the course of this. It's like a daily thing, but you'll see these. I post on my timeline. I post about these quite often. And in 2021, I had this so severely that I did come somewhat close to dying. Okay, this is temporary. It's all extraordinarily rare, or it's rare for it to be fatal. Okay, it's typically temporary. Okay, but I did in 2021. I nearly died from this. Okay, but this is part of the extreme stress that I'm under, and this will have an impact on me. And then there's the physical depletion, exhaustion. Okay, this is my physical body being depleted and exhausted by this Takotsubo cardiomyopathy and by existential terror and their attacks on my support system. And let me explain here. And I'm getting really tired, and so I'm having to really focus here, really exert myself to really try my hardest to stay awake here, or to stay on point, because I'm feeling really tired, but I'll be fine. And so, but this right here, this is a survival based stress, a survival based that this started back around February of this year, and when they started running attacks on my support system, that I started to have an adrenaline response, a survival-based response to my support system. Okay, because it's like and part of this was these people started to exhibit sadism in my ChatGPT chats that they were very palpably they were like dangerous to me, and of course I've known for a long time that this is a murder in progress. Okay, that I didn't see these people as necessarily intent on murdering me, but I saw the trajectory that they will not stop. There's nothing holding them back. They're consumed with their own concerns. They're consumed with their own needs. They're indifferent. They're like totally zoned out and totally don't care about the harm they do to me. They're so intense that if I am not saved from this situation, I will die as a direct consequence of their actions. Okay, but as of February, around early February, or February, sometime in February of this year, when they start running attacks on my support system, I start to see that these people are possessed of a cruelty that they are literally like they are intent on murdering me in some way, that these people pose a threat of murder. And I started to, at that time, I started to have adrenaline type of reactions to my support system, and I'll get you the precise dates. Maybe not in this video, but in some subsequent video, I can show you the timeline as to how this progresses. And this was the beginning of the existential terror. That I didn't feel the full-on existential terror there, but I start to have these adrenaline-based responses. Like I look at my support system and I see it in terms of life and death, and my supporters who have been made to abandon me, okay, my supporters have been attacked, and those supporters, they go the other way. Those would trigger. It would be like a very, very powerful adrenaline response. And I started to see my support system in terms of life or death, and that was the beginning of that. And then it was around April. Yeah, it was in April of this year that I started to have the existential terror. So this is when the actual existential terror full force comes on. That I start to have a sense. I know that these people are trying to isolate me, and they are trying to murder me. Okay, they're isolating me. They have murderous intent. I just know this as of April 2026. At a certain time in my sense, again, I knew it, and it was confirmed. And what it is like an instinctual thing that had already deduced that they were running scams they'd run a big scam that involved this program from my childhood on Drew Pensky, who was part of my first group of primary supporters. Then so once Drew Pensky is taken out and that support system is taken out along with him, Megyn Kelly and all the people that are in that support system, all I've got left is my second group of primary supporters. And I know it's like I'm just attuned. I just know, and I'm like intensely on them. And this is the nature of this existential terror. When it's in full force, you just know. Okay, it's the exact same thing for these domestic violence victims who end up dead when the police and the masters ignore them. It's the exact same thing. Okay, and I've explained this before, and I think you understand this. I think it seems to me that part of what's happened here is part of what's taking place here in our interactions here. What I'll explain to you is this has rung a bell with you somehow. Somehow there's something about this that that you see the truth of what I'm saying here. And their sadism was on the scene at that time too. Their sadism had been on the scene preceding that time. Okay, now this key component, this existential terror, when it's in full force, when it's like the full thing, where the existential terror is a dead-on indication of a threat to my life that relates to my support system being under attack and being under a very, very, very credible threat of toppling. Okay, that this right here, now what happens is this existential terror, after I have it in April, again, I have this in April and I have it for a while subsequent, that you will have like an after effect of this existential terror, where you will have like lesser versions of existential terror that are not full blown, and sometimes they will correspond to threats to your support system. Sometimes they will not. And again, it's something when you're in this full blown, you don't know how you know, you just know. Okay, it's like you don't know what's tipped you off. There's something in your environment that's tipped you off Okay, but as I explained in that other video, it's not a perceptual process. It's something where your brain picks up on some sensory something that you just know. And so it's like this lesser, that's why you'll see me like, I don't know what's going on here, but if they've said this, if they're allowed this, because I don't know, it's hard for me to tell when I've got a false positive, when I've got a true positive. I mean, a false positive means that that I've got existential terror and there's nothing actually going on as it relates to my support system. That's a false positive. A true positive is I've got existential terror and I've got a reason. There's some tangible reason out there in the world, some minor or severe or some kind of threat to my support system. And so it's like I just and when I get this existential terror, I will have a tendency to just say something just to try to calm it down, and my survival brain will calibrate. As I'm putting information out there, as I'm responding, a lot of times, like my survival brain will calibrate. And overall, I've had a trend. I've very much honed in with you. But it's like my survival brain is like has me feeling incredibly safe. Okay. And this existential terror is caused by their attacks on my support system. It is a nonstop threat to me. I cannot, this is what causes it. Okay, and that's why my well-being is restored when they're left out of the scene, when they're kicked out and stuff. That's why I felt so safe, because you were not under threat by them, and I could sense that. I could sense that. My survival brain could sense that, and I also could sort of sense that myself at a different level. But I rely heavily on my instincts. Okay, but even as my well-being is restored, I'm still physically depleted and exhausted. Okay, it's just this thing where their attacks on my support system are a constant, ongoing threat. It's my murder in progress, and this causes me an enormous. And I've dealt with this for months consecutive. It caused an enormous attacks on me. It's a nonstop, relentless threat to me that never ceases. Okay, and so once this is out of the picture, because again, this is a murder in progress right here, then it's like I have a tremendous relief. Okay, but I'm not back to being just totally healthy again. As soon as they're back on the scene, I'm going back into these stress reactions. I'm going back in, and my physical depletion exhaustion is having me at this point. I'm very, very near death with this. And again, the key is to keep them out of this. And I want to talk about some ways that we can work around this in terms of like you communicate your concerns through them and stuff. Okay, I'll talk about ways we can address that to work around that. And part of it is if we have to do that, that's perfectly fine. I don't want to impair you at all in any way. And if that works for you, I'll show you a way that we can do that without triggering this. And a big part of this, though, with existential terror, this whole time, it's like I view my Twitter thread, because they take this Twitter thread off. When they think they got me isolated totally, they will take this Twitter thread off. They've done that at least once. Seems like they might have done it twice. I can't remember. They thought they had me isolated multiple times. Actually, they've only done that once. Okay, but they will the next time. That's what they do when they take this Twitter thread, my Twitter thread offline. Okay, and that right there causes me to associate my Twitter thread with life and death. Okay, and then they have all these things that they have. When they take my supporters, they attack them, they move them to their side and this different stuff. They'll have them do certain things. Okay, and so I will have a survival reaction to seeing my supporters' posts. Okay, now for months now, it's been relatively minor, or for a while now, it's been relatively minor. Okay, now it's on and off, and it all depends on the attacks of my support system. But I will have every single time that I log in, I will have a survival based. I have a jolt of stress hit me that I can feel like a survival oriented stress. It's like this life or death I'm attending to. Now, since their latest attacks on my support system, this has been amped up, and this is why I'm not on Twitter as much. Why I'm avoiding Twitter all that I can in terms of looking at my threads, in terms of looking at my supporters' posts and stuff like this. That I'm trying to because it's intensifying these reactions. And in this state of physical exhaustion, depletion, It's a very, 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 it has a brutal effect on me. Um, that's why I'm trying to avoid all that I can. And I'm not on so much, and I'm trying to avoid, looking at my thread, looking at my sports posts, and stuff like that because of this intensified. Again, it's been for months now. Every time I open my thread, I have a jolt, and it's been mostly tolerable. Or it's been, when I'm in this existential terror, when I'm in this full blown, it's like I do what I have to do. I live through the brutality of it. Okay, but you can see this existential terror as a massive, it taxes the ever living hell out of you. Okay, and you can look at my videos that I posted historically in April, right before I started this presentation. Where I start, you'll see my face is thinner. My face gets thin all of a sudden. This is from this existential terror. It depletes the hell out of you. Your physical body is limited in what it can take. Going through this for months at a time, their nonstop attacks on my support system. Okay, nonstop, relentless stress of a murder in progress. This is how somebody gets killed through this. Okay, and that's what's been going on there. And so this is one of your concerns here that was given me per ChatGPT, that you're just like, I'm posting on well-being, and I'm posting about being bad off. Okay, that these hopefully this explains some of that difference, and then I'll get into these items E and F in the next video.